Hello everyone, welcome to our today's webinar. My name is Arturo Patiño from the Young Americas Business Trust, and I'm pleased to introduce our today's speaker. Her name is Liz Ross. She is the co-founder of Lati Business, an online social networking service for Latin American enterprises, and she is also the business operation manager of City Wallet, an innovative payment system. Today, Liz will explain to all of us the crucial concepts about how to develop a well-designed business canvas model. This topic is very important for all those entrepreneurs who want to start and develop a project from the very beginning. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you everyone that questions are welcome. At the end of this presentation, there will be a section of questions and answers. The only thing you have to do is to raise the hand located on the conference panel by clicking on the hand icon. You will have to have access to a microphone so we can give you the floor. Otherwise, you will be able to ask us through our chat system, also located on the conference panel. Liz, thank you so much for joining us today. Now I give you the floor.
Thank you so much for the introduction. This is a very interesting opportunity because I'm also an entrepreneur, and I know that this tool can be sometimes challenging and can intimidate a bit, but it's actually very easy to use, and it's a roadmap to start the business that you want to pursue. So I'm going to manage this presentation in a very easygoing way. I'm not going to be very technical because I think that the most important here is that you understand how to use the tool, and actually it's very friendly, as you will see in the explanation. So I'm going to start by one second here. Sorry, this happens a lot when your computer the last day decides to die. So this is the business canvas, and it is composed by nine blocks. These 9 blocks represent all the key areas of the business. I'm going to speak of all of the areas with detail. So generally, if you already have studied some of this model of business, of doing business, you'll see that this starts usually by the client, talking about the client. Although I do believe that the client is the most important part of the business, because if you don't get a client, you won't sell. I think that the natural process of starting a company is having an awesome idea. Someday you are on the street, or you are suffering a trouble, and you have this incredible idea that makes you have the desire of starting something by your own. So I like that you all have in mind what are you doing right now, and which are the projects you are handling, and ask yourself, what am I offering? Is this a product? Is this a service? Is this going to be an experience? And the most important thing here is, which is the job you are going to do for your clients. Because after all, what we are offering are solutions. It doesn't matter if it has a physical form, such as a product, or if it is a service, like a solution, a technological solution, a software. The thing is that the client is going to pay you for the job you are doing for them. You are making their life easier. So when I write here, let's type, I would like you to think about that, which is the job you are doing for them. For example, let's think about Apple's iPod. This is a very iconic example, because what Steve Jobs did was to put in a box literally all those CDs you have in the car, or you have in your house, and it actually gave us a smart solution in your hand. So the job here is to storage all the music you love in a single box in the palm of your hand. Think about that. How are you solving the issue? And think about if the client is willing to pay for that job. Now that you have this awesome idea, you have to know your fans, and this is the customer segment. Who are interested, who are there for your product, who are going to be those fans. So who are going to buy the product? The best way to describe the buyer persona is just to think if you already know that person. Maybe you have a friend which is having a very complicated situation or have a problem or doesn't know how to use something, and it's this example of somebody that will use your product. So how can you describe the buyer persona? Let me give you an example. Let's assume you have a friend which is called Sophia. She has 35 years old. And she's married. Has 2 children. Likes to exercise. Likes to be fit. Likes to be fit. Loves wine. Has an iPhone. Loves the beach. And likes to cook. You might be laughing, but if you actually manage to have a profile like this, it will be very easy for you to understand how your potential customer is going to behave, or where can you find them, or through which influencers can you reach them. For example, if she likes to be fit, maybe a good place to find those possible customers is in a gym. So you will find their possible reactions, or you will be able to reach them, ask them, and have some profiles of the people you are going to sell your product. So know your fans. They are the primary distributors of your product. Now, let's see this. This is the ideation equation. So we are going to pass through 9 blocks. These are the first 2. We have been through an awesome idea, and we already have some fans. And now, if we have the idea and we have the people, how are we going to deliver the product to them? And that brings me to the channels. The channels are is how the company communicates and reaches the customer segment and delivers the value proposition. This can be communication channels, distribution channels, sales channels. Is any mean that you find in which you can deliver the product to the customer. For example, social media is a very typical example to reach your customer. You can use it in a lot of ways. For example, Twitter can be a platform which brings assistance to the customers if they have any doubt, any trouble, they can contact you through there. You can use, of course, Instagram to show the products. That is a very popular trend right now. You should be also aware of the distribution channels as well. Which are the stores where I'm going to put the product? Are they well located? Do the posts have enough traffic of people to see my product? How am I going to deliver the product is actually very important. If you have in mind to send it through any kind of mail, you have to evaluate the best partner for this, taking into account the scope, taking into account the routes, the cost. You have to see which is the best channel for you to deliver your product. On the other hand, considering that you already have a product, you have your fans, you know how are you going to deliver, how are you going to maintain the relationships with the customer. Once the customer have the product, you have to guarantee that they can give you feedback, that you can actually bring them some support or anything they need. So here we have some key questions. How do we keep in touch with the client? Through our website, through emails. Which are the communication ways we are going to use, because we have to have them available for the client or the customers. Another important thing is having in mind how are we going to deliver the news regarding the product. Are we going to send emails? Are we going to send some kind of notification through the mobile app? Which is the best way to deliver this kind of news? On the other hand, depending on the product or the service, consider if it will be personal or it will be automatic. Generally, the clients prefer some kind of personal interaction. As you well know, social networks have encouraged this kind of preferences. And also consider what do you want to accomplish and which is your objective of the customer relationships. Do you want to acquire new customers? Do you want to maintain the customers you already have? Or do you want to increase your sales? Depending on your objective, on what you want, you will have to select a different strategy to approach the clients. So this is what we have seen so far. As you may notice, we are actually building a map. This will help us to give a good shape of the business we want to develop. So we have an awesome idea. We have found the fans. We know how to deliver our fans this awesome idea, and we know how to maintain our relation with them. So which is the next step? Well, we need to know where's the money, and that's actually the first thing people used to think when they read business model. The thing is that you need to know who's going to buy, how are they going to buy, and what are you going to offer, which is the value proposition, in order to define if you can charge something and how you can charge something for the product and for the service that you are offering. So, in this case, it's very important that you have in mind, again, which is the problem that you're solving and which is the job that you're doing for the customer. If you have that in mind, you will be able to find the value that the customer is willing to pay. And I know that that question can be very tricky or can be very intimidating, but you can solve it in a very, very simple way. You present an idea of the product in a focus group, and then you ask to the client if, once they have understand what we're doing, if they are willing to pay for a product or service like that. That will give you some hints if you're doing it right, if you're doing it wrong, and actually that mini study will help you to give a better shape of what you are doing. So be incisive with that kind of questions, and don't be afraid of sharing the idea you have. I can tell you that when I was starting with these two startups, I was very afraid to tell people what I was doing, because they were going to copy or they were going to do the same thing that I was doing, and that is actually a cliche. It's very hard that somebody took the word and starts to develop in the same thing that you're doing. Actually, you will be surprised. People is very willing to cooperate and to give you their ideas. So be open about this point. Share with your family, share it with your friends. Listen a lot. You need to listen a lot, because sometimes you think you have the exact path to reach the money you want to ask for the product, and you may be wrong, or you have to fix some things in order to go to market with a very good product. So, as I was telling, ask the customer if they're willing to pay for that, and then you will be able to have an idea if that amount is enough for what you are doing. So, after having seen the ways, how much you can charge regarding the product you are doing, you have to take into account which are the key partners and which are the resources you will need to develop the business you want. You may need a team, and I can tell you that the team is the cornerstone of anything you are doing. You can't do it alone, and you will need the best people around you. So, in my experience, this is a very important active in your startup or in the business to have in mind. So think about the necessities you have as a company. Which kind of people do you need? Do you need a developer? Do you need a designer? Do you need an expert in finance? And try to find them in order to help you to build the product you want. On the other hand, things. What do I mean with things? Do you need an office? Do you need some computer, some servers? What do you need in order to bring this product alive? Do you need to build some processes, to have them structured? Have it in mind, because you need to have order in all the steps you make in the way to go to market. So, as you have seen, we have passed through an idea, through the fans, through the channels, through the customer relations, through how are we going to make the money, and through the key resources we need. So, once you have all this in your table, and you have an idea of how the business is going to work, now you can talk about the cost structure. Because if you know which are the channels through which you are going to deliver the product, you actually can have an idea of how much those channels, the maintenance of those channels, are going to require. So, cost number one. Cost number two, customer relationships. What do you need? Marketing. Do you need a platform, a web platform? Do you need a call center? All of that has, of course, a cost by their side. So, good to point that as well. 3, key resources and key partners. Do you need actives? Do you need people? Do you have to pay a wage? Do you have to pay a rent? Do you need a car? So all of these costs comes from this ideation equation. So, hello? Okay, sorry, I lost the connection for a second. So, list all the costs that are related with the structure you have managed in the previous ideation equation. Sorry. Finally, this is the canvas that we are managing. As you see, there are 9 blocks, and I'm going to review the blocks with you right now. So first of all, we have the value proposition. This wonderful idea we have come with. Take into account the competitors. That is very important in that stage. Which is your unique proposition? How are you different of the competition? In the other hand, take also into account the transaction that you're going to have with the product, because the product can be very cheap or innovative, but if you have a very hard access to the product, well, it won't fit very well. So take into account the competitive environment, take into account your client, listen a lot to the client, and I'm going to block number 2. Once you have this buyer persona in your mind, go and found them. Go outside of the building with the value proposition. Ask, interact with them, understand if they are interested, if they are willing to pay, validate all the hypotheses that you had in mind regarding your value proposition. You might be right, but you might be wrong as well, and you don't want to go to the market having a wrong product fit. So remember, you might think that the product ought to be blue, ought to be green, but if the customer tells you that he or she values it yellow, your product should be yellow. So please take that into account. Very important to speak with the people. On the other hand, customer relationships. How are you going to maintain your relation with the client, the support they need, the information they need? How are you going to bring all the news regarding your product? Block number 4, channels. How are you going to deliver the product you have? If you have a web app or a mobile app, where this app is going to be? Which are the correct marketing channels to bring the news to the people? Have that into account. Now, which are the key activities, key partners, and key resources? This area here is the business operation. You need to understand how is this connected in order to bring the value proposition through the customer segments. Having to account who are your key partners. This can be some providers. This can be distributors. This can be this is any stakeholder that is related with the creation of the product. You can have also strategic alliances with other businesses that are doing the same that you are doing, with chambers of commerce. Have that into account. On the other hand, key activities and key resources. Remember the processes that are necessary to have this in the market, and which resources you will need as well. That can be people resources, physical resources, financial resources. And finally, take into account that all these factors here will build your cost structure. And once you understand your cost structure, you can see if this is profitable or not. And if it's not profitable, where can you make some adjustments in order to generate a positive cash flow? Same thing regarding the revenue streams. Because maybe once you have a cost structure and you notice that the numbers are not the ones you were expected, maybe you have to change the business model. Maybe you have to pass from a premium business model to a long-tail business model, etc., etc. So the good thing about the canvas is that it will allow you to map on all the factors that build your business, and you will build a hypothesis considering all the factors you have in the map. Once you have those hypotheses, you have to prove them. You need to prove the buyer persona, the communication style and channels, the income strategy, and the cost structure. So this is a very good exercise. It can be very confusing the first time. You will need to do this at least 3 or 4 times until you have the correct product market fit. But trust me that this tool will help you to understand the correct path you need to take in order to have your product or have your service in the market. So far, this is all the content I had prepared for today. Please let me know if you want me to repeat in another point of the presentation. I try to make this very, very easygoing well, the idea is that you understand it the most. So let me know. I have some time for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you for your explanation. I think it's time for us to pass to the section of question and answers. We have received some answers, and we will also wait for the audience to raise their hand. But the first question here is: this business canvas model can be applied to social projects?
Yes, it can be applied to social projects. Let me put here the canvas for a second. Yes, of course, because at the end of the day, a social project have a value proposition to a group of customers, and you need to maintain the relation with them. You need to bring the product to them, or the solution in this case to them. And in order to have the solution available, you need to have in mind the activities and the resources you will need to maintain this in an operative and consistent way. So please use it, and even consider the revenue streams, because I know that these are generally non-profit projects, but you need to survive in some way. You need to maintain the operation. So where are you going to find these funds that you need? Use it and without fear.
Okay, thank you. We have a second question here. It says, can I first draft my business plan or the business canvas?
Excuse me? Could you repeat? Could you repeat, please, the question?
Yeah, sure. Can I first draft my business plan or the business canvas?
Well, I think in this case is the same. If it is your first business plan, is your first draft. In the case that you are not going to market, or that you are still developing the product, it is always a draft until you prove that the hypothesis is the right one.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, what is the best way to talk about our projects so others can copy our ideas?
Well, if it is a technological project, always keep in secret the key assets of the technology. Regarding security, sometimes security is pretty strategical. Regarding next steps, what you always need to have in mind is that you should not reveal next steps. Talk about the idea. Talk about where do you want to put the idea. But do not reveal your next steps, because maybe tomorrow you're going to speak with Coca-Cola because Coca-Cola is interested in doing some business or in supporting you. And if this person is really interested in stealing your idea, well, maybe he will contact Coca-Cola. Or try to maintain the tactical details in silence, but speak about the idea, not about how are you building the idea.
Okay, thank you. We have one question more. Does every kind of project should have all of these sections of the business canvas model?
I recommend you that you pack all the blocks of the business canvas model, because this is a very complete site of all the areas that a business needs to operate and to be successful, delivering the value proposition. It is key. It is key. Look, you need a product in order to sell and have some revenues and to live. But if you don't have a customer to buy your product, well, you won't be seeing the money. If you don't have a channel to deliver the product, you won't be seeing the money, or you won't achieve the goal that you are pursuing. If you don't work with key partners, key activities, and key resources in order to build the product, you have nothing to sell. And if you have nothing to sell, you have no revenue streams. So yes, you need to pass through all the blocks of the canvas.
Okay, thank you, Liz. I think we will wait some more seconds so the audience can raise their hand. Yeah, we have another one. It says, if my project is volunteer program, how do you suggest that I should prepare the value proposition?
It's a volunteer program, like a UNICEF mission, something like that. Look,
Yes.
you need to talk. You need to talk about what the people is going to obtain through this experience, because you are selling an experience. So be very emotional regarding your value proposition. Don't be so rational. You will be helping others. You will gain network. You will be in touch with the real needs of a particular population. Be very emotional.
Yes,
And
the person who asked this question says that it's an student program.
and student program. Be very emotional again. Talk about the experience. Talk about what are they going to gain to their life. Don't talk about so much about the yes. Be very emotional. Include some of the points of the student program, but talk about the experience. I recommend that.
Okay, so I think let's wait for another few minutes. Yes, the same person who asked this same question says, how can I measure the in-kind contribution?
The income contribution. Well, in order to measure the income contribution, you need to have the cost structure in mind. You need to do a cash flow, and once you have listed all the variable costs, you need to find a price that covers all the development of the product. That is why you need to pass previously pass through all the blocks. So once you have in mind the value you need to charge in order to make this profitable, match it with the customer perception of the product, of the value, and of the money they have to pay in order to acquire what you are giving to them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's wait a few minutes more. I think there are no more questions for today. Thank you so much, Liz, for having us today. Thank you for your explanation, and I think that this topic will be very interesting for all those young entrepreneurs who wants to start applying for the TIC Americas. Thank you so much again for your time, and till the next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.